What do self-love and manifesting have in common? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm Jen Broyles, co-founder of Manifest Nation, and we're going to focus on this idea, this concept, this practice of self-love and how it is incredibly linked to consciously manifesting your desires and creating the life that you want for yourself. So there's two key aspects of self-work that we get to do when we are engaged in the practice of conscious manifestation. One is self-love and one is self-concept. In this video, we're talking specifically about self-love, okay? And the two work hand in hand. So, and let me just speak real quickly to the differences of the two, and then we'll dive in specifically to self-love and why it's so important to really up leveling your manifestation game. All right. So with self-love, you that is a practice of loving yourself exactly as you are right now in this moment. Nothing about you has to change. When you're doing self-concept work, and honestly, I love self-concept work. I love teaching self-concept work. That really lights me up. And so I'll do a separate video on that. Self-concept work is the work of self-transformation. It's the practice of transforming into the person who thinks and feels like your desire is yours and it will be yours, and you are becoming the person who has your desire. You're literally becoming a new person. So self-concept work is all about change. Self-love work is about finding love and acceptance now without needing to change. Self-love is all about learning to love yourself exactly as you are right now. It's all about feeling and knowing that you are completely worthy, you are completely lovable, you're amazing, you're magnificent, you're whole and complete just as you are right now without needing to change anything about yourself. Okay? So, what is it about self-love and loving yourself now that's so important to manifesting? So, first, self-love is like genuinely loving and liking yourself. Genuinely loving and liking yourself. No matter if you have your desires or not, no matter if you're at the top of your game or not, when you're in a loving state towards yourself, you know and believe that you are valuable, you're worthy, you're lovable, no matter what. Nothing out there dictates your value, okay? And it's also, and I see this with a lot of my clients, and I've certainly seen it in myself. How are you talking to yourself? What is your inner self-talk? Because if you're in a cycle of self-beat up, a loud inner critic, criticizing yourself all the time, negative self-talk towards yourself, that is not a practice of self-love. When you're in that self-beat up and negative self-talk, that's ultimately keeping you in a very low vibration state and it's repelling your manifestation. So that's why we get to cultivate a practice of self-love and learning to genuinely love yourself exactly as you are and becoming aware of the narrative that's going on in your head. What's that self-talk saying? And beginning to reprogram it. Okay? Because so much of that is unconscious. It's playing in the background so often throughout the day without us even realizing it. So we want to make the subconscious conscious, bring awareness to it. And when we start to hear scripts that are not supportive, we flip them, we change them, and we start to say loving things to ourselves. So for me, I've had a pretty diligent, consistent self-love practice for the past few years and really dove into a self-love practice during my divorce. It was literally the thing that got me through my divorce. And of course, I was surrounded by friends and supportive people, which was so helpful. I had great community. But without a self-love practice, I would have been in constant self-beat up because there was a whole lot of guilt and shame and self-doubt and fear and uncertainty and questioning that was going on in my mind throughout the process. And while I allowed those feelings to be and those emotions to process and be present with them, I also had a daily self-love practice so I could bring myself back to the truth that nothing about me has to change. I love myself. I like myself. I accept myself just as I am. Okay. And that is the practice, really believing it and feeling it to be true. So, why is this so important to successful manifesting? So, there's a couple of key reasons. One is everyone is you pushed out. And I've done a video on this. I've also done a video on people treat you the way you treat yourself. So go and watch both of those because if you find that you don't like the way you're being treated by people, then you get to look inward and say, okay, how am I treating myself? Because everything's a reflection. Everything's a reflection. So everyone is yourself pushed out. So, how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, who you believe you are, is the number one factor that is influencing your manifestations. If you don't believe you're worthy, if you don't believe you're capable, if you don't believe you're deserving, then that is exactly what's going to be reflected back to you. So once you start to really love yourself and value yourself and honor yourself and choose yourself and cherish yourself, you'll start to receive that from others. You'll start to experience that in your external world by learning to truly love yourself because you know, you believe, you think, you feel you're worthy and amazing within. You're magnificent, you're magnetic, you're radiant. You will create an automatic reflection from the outside world that shows you that you are worthy and you are amazing and you are loved. Okay. And the second key reason that self love is such a key element to manifesting is because, as I've talked about in other videos, manifesting is all about living in the end state, living in the state of wish fulfilled. So feeling as if you already have your desire, feeling as if your wish has been fulfilled, feeling as if you have your desire, living in the end. It's embodying the state of the wish fulfilled, feeling like the person who has your desire now. Okay. So whether you are calling in a new partner, a new job, um, increased finances, better health, whatever it is, what does it feel like to have it? What does it feel like to have your desire? So take a moment to think about the things that you are wanting to create in your life. Okay. And now just think about and begin to feel what it would feel like if you had your desire now. How would you feel? What would you experience? Chances are you'd probably feel confident, accepting, happy, grateful, at peace. You'd feel loving. You'd feel satisfied. You'd feel joyful. You'd feel fulfilled, right? That ultimate end state is a state that is almost identical to the state of loving yourself. It's almost the same, if not exactly the same. When you are in a state of fully loving yourself exactly as you are, you feel confident, you feel accepting, you feel loved and lovable, you feel capable, you feel happy, you feel joyful, you feel grateful, you feel expansive. Those two states are the same. So the more you can get into a state of fully loving yourself, you're doing a huge part of the manifestation process right there. And that energy is going to start to draw in and attract the people, the situations, the circumstances that are going to align you with your desire. Okay. So, so really start to practice and embody the feeling of loving yourself. There's a lot of ways that you can do this. You can use affirmations. The key is feeling it to be true. So, so one great practice is just to start to become aware throughout the day of the internal narrative that's playing in your mind. And if you hear and notice any negative self-talk, any self-beat up, inner critic, then start to shift that and start to speak nicely to yourself. You can self-soothe. You can say, Jen, you're doing great. You're amazing. I love you. Keep going. You're fully capable. You're so strong. Use the words that really speak to you in that moment and begin to talk to yourself in a very loving way. You may even imagine that you're talking to your little girl or your little boy, right? Like your inner child and just soothing her and or him and telling her she's safe and loved and protected and that she's so strong and capable and confident and bold and use the words that really land for you, really resonate, really feel good to you and continue to practice that. You can do mirror work and speak these truths to yourself in front of a mirror, right? Or you can write them down in a journal. So there's a lot of ways you can do this, but it is a practice for many of us to begin to cultivate truly loving, liking, and accepting ourselves just as we are. So begin that practice. I'd love to hear in the comments what lands for you. What did you hear me say? What are you going to start implementing? And do you already have a practice similar to this? And how is it supporting you in your life? All right. Now, on a final note, if this really did resonate for you and you're really wanting to dive deeper into manifestation principles and spiritual and universal laws to really begin to um, draw into your life the things that you want to create and align yourself with your highest potential, then check out the link in the description below where you can join our manifesting community, Manifest Nation. It's a membership, a mastermind, and a movement where we teach you all of these incredible manifestation techniques and principles and universal laws and incorporate breath work for the embodiment practice, which is so important to regulate your nervous system and really begin to embody the state of the wish fulfilled, which is going to enhance your manifestation, start to reprogram the subconscious mind so that you are becoming the person who has your desire now. So click the link below, check out Manifest Nation. We'd love to have you in our community. And until next time, have a wonderful day and share below how you are learning to love yourself. All right, bye.